Alright, now right off the bat, I know what you're thinking. Wow, another hat. I know. It's wild. I own many. We're not talking about hats. Well, the first thing I wanted to talk about, I know I said in the last video to, leave a comment about what I should talk about. Um, I wanted to talk about the New York Giants. Not my football team. In fact, my football team played them last night and beat them by three, three touchdowns. But the Giants have an interesting situation going on in New York. They have a veteran quarterback who they want to believe in because he's been with them for a long time and has won them some Super Bowls. But I honestly think, at the end of the day, as a football person, it's time to move on from Eli Manning, which I think they're leaning towards, but they need to make the move sooner rather than later because they're going to lose their locker room and their players' respect and trust. Uh, it's an interesting situation, it really is, because you have to respect him. He's done a lot for the organization, and he's been a pretty good player for them. But it's time to move on. And I'm not saying release him necessarily, but definitely bench him indefinitely and look for a guy who can replace him. I mean, the draft of next year is a long time away, so you need to make a move now so that you don't finish 1-15. He's not bad. I mean, you can't trade him. I don't think they don't really get much trade value for him. But yeah, I think if you release him though, release him on mutual standards, and I think keep him on the sideline as sort of a player coach sort of deal for whoever you bring in, especially if it's a young quarterback, because having him on the sideline is a huge asset and can really help a young quarterback settle in and feel calm in high pressure situations. Having a known quarterback who's had some pretty amazing games in his career to have your back. But also to talk about another guy, Odell Beckham Jr., who I think is a world class talent, great athlete, tremendous catch. Uh, he's just a great wide receiver to have. But the temper tantrums, I think, need to be discussed. I think it's a lot for him to keep having these tantrums on the sideline and to keep, calling out the team and stuff. Someone needs to sit down with Odell and talk to him. I mean, I've never been in this situation. I played high school football for a little bit. So, you know, I don't really know how an NFL locker room works, but I think it's a struggling team, so your bonds with your teammates need to be the strongest right now, because if not, you're all going to break under the pressure. So I think him and the rest of the players should have a players only meeting, maybe involve some higher ups if you need to, but make sure that locker room is strong and they know the current situation and they're all on the same page, because you don't want to lose the locker room. Because although it's behind closed doors, you don't see what's going on. If you lose the locker room, you're losing your team, and that is awful to see early in the season. So I really think that they need to make a move concerning their quarterback situation. Either move Eli to a player coach sort of deal, or completely release him, because his legacy is being dragged through the mud every time someone talks bad about him, rather that's on TV or from the team itself. So I think to keep Eli on the pedestal and the high standard that he's on, that he needs to move now. From a player standpoint, the fans have turned on him, the organization's turned on him. I think it's time to walk away from football, or at least move on to a new point in football. So I think there's a lot of things the Giants have to work on, and it's early in the season, so I think, if they work on them now, they could do better. But look forward to the 2019 draft as a Giants fan. I don't think the playoffs are really a goal right now, but getting a good quarterback in next year's draft is highly possible, and I think should be number one on their list of goals. So those are some things that I think the Giants need to make changes on. And I think that if they do that, then there could be some success. I'd say probably 6 wins, possibly, this season.